How stressed are you? How much stress do you have in your life? I'm taking this video from a retreat center that I go to. I go to this retreat center 3 to 4 times every year. I take 4 retreats every single year. And the reason I do that is to slow down a little bit, to recalibrate, to think about my goals, think about my dreams, to be in a space that is quiet for my mind, for my spirit. And when I do it more, I find that I do better overall. I'm not sure if you see the mountains in the background here. It's sunrise and absolutely gorgeous behind me. This is my view from my balcony every morning or every day. So what I want to talk about is stress. Stress is a habit. Stress is a habit. Think about that for a minute. That you have a pattern of stress in your life. What I want to do today is talk about how stress works a little bit, but more importantly, how you can start practicing rest, how you can start getting de-stressed, okay? So stress piles up a little bit like boxes or junk in your storage room or in your garage or in your office, where it starts off with one paper, it starts off with one box, and goes slowly. You don't even notice it at first because you still have so much room. But over a short period of time, it starts to build up, and eventually what you find is that you've got no room to breathe. You feel like it's got a stranglehold on you. I've worked with a lot of people that struggle with anxiety, which is simply more stress in the body. Where does stress come from? So biologically, what's going on in our brains and our bodies is we have stress in our lives when we think about something we're scared of, when we think about things that we don't feel we have control of. And when we go there consistently, there's a response in our bodies, and it's called the sympathetic system response. And what happens is adrenaline and cortisol start shooting through our bodies. We're able to run faster, jump higher, move quicker, do things in a way that allows us to engage with our fight or flight response, okay? And that's a fantastic thing that humans have. The problem with it is that while a deer is really good at that as well, and can get stressed and take off and runs away, and then a few minutes after it sniffs the air and looks around and doesn't see any wolves or anything nearby, then it relaxes. Its parasympathetic system kicks in, and that releases other chemicals into our body that relax us. Unfortunately for humans, we have an overactive imagination, so we tend to think, if we were being chased by wolves, for example, we'd be taken off, we'd look, see, we don't see wolves around us, but then what would your mind do? Your mind would start going like, well, what if they came around the other side? What if they got in front of me? What if they're still after me? Like, our minds go nuts, and because of our imagination, we tend to stay in that response, that stress response. Also, we have so much going on in our lives, so our brains are multitasking all the time, and because they're multitasking, we end up with more stuff that doesn't kind of get cleaned out. Think of a computer for a second. If you've ever defragged your computer or redone your hard drive just to get everything straight again, that's something that's difficult for human beings. So with that picture in mind, that view of mind of having things piled up, and now you can't even walk around in your storage room anymore. Your office is so cluttered that you're not even able to think in there anymore. If that's what you are, then, and you do it consistently, maybe you don't clean it out every once in a while, or you half clean it out, but if your pattern is buildup, then your pattern is stress. Your habit is stress. And what I want to do, as far as the tip today, the action step, is give you an idea of how you can start a new pattern in life. And what the pattern is rest. How can you start a new pattern of rest in your life? Well, first of all, you've got to realize that rest doesn't happen every once in a while. Just as stress is a pattern, getting more stuff in your head, rest is a pattern as well. So you've got to practice rest on a consistent basis. Some people go on holidays. I didn't go on a holiday for like 8 years at one point in time, okay? But some people go on holidays every year. You go to Mexico or wherever you go, okay, Arizona. That's fine. It's not a horrible thing. At the same time, if you're putting so much expectation on that one holiday a year that's going to give you the rest for the year, you're going to be disappointed a lot of the time. What you need to do is realize that we need to rest consistently. So I'll give you an example. Every morning I have a routine. Every morning before I get into my day, before I start interacting with people, including my own family, I get up really early and I've got a routine where I journal, I think, I think about my goals, I think up new business ideas, I do whatever. And that period of time, I read a little bit, that period of time is my time to be. Rather than doing, that's my time to be, to simply exist, and to do something that I enjoy and slows me down a little bit, gets my mindset in the right place, gets my attitude where it needs to be every morning. Then I do things on a weekly basis. I connect with my kids. I connect with my wife on a weekly basis. Things that are really kind of set in stone. We don't move them around for anything. I don't book appointments during those times. Then there's also quarterly time. So I go on a quarterly retreat. Every quarter I take off for 2 or 3 days. I think about business. I think about life. I think about relationships. I think, how am I doing as a father and as a husband and as a business person? And then yearly, take those trips yearly or a couple times semi-annually, a couple times every year or whatever. But keep in mind that it's the daily stuff that you do that's going to make the biggest difference in your life, okay? I'm going to give you one extra tip. And that's, if you could only do one thing. Mark, I'm stressed. I want to do one thing. What I would suggest is learn about mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is not the best thing to get into when you are overstressed, when you're experiencing a lot of anxiety. And the reason that is because your mind isn't able to slow down often, get into that routine, develop that skill. So what I would suggest is take off for 2 or 3 days. Go, if you can, go to the woods, go to somewhere, go to the ocean, go somewhere that's natural, away from a lot of people, where you can simply be. And it takes probably 2 or 3 days to start winding down, to get some of that white noise buildup in our brains that's been building up to slow down. Once that happens though, go to a therapist, whatever you need to do. Once that happens, then go back and study mindfulness. Take a course. There's a great writer called Jon Kabat-Zinn. He's the kind of a leader in North America on mindfulness. Read some of his books. They're a tough slog sometimes, but get into a book that works for you on mindfulness, learn about it and start practicing it. And when that becomes your habit, imagine if you had a habit, a pattern of rest, a pattern of relaxation, a pattern of slowing down, of being calm and collected and having clear thoughts. Imagine what that would be like. So what I want you to do is imagine what it'll be like. Remember what it feels like right now to be stressed, or at times where you have felt stressed, and then take action. Do one thing right now. Book a trip right now. Take off for a few hours and simply be for a few hours. Now again, if you're not good at it yet, you won't get a lot out of that. But do something right now, take action right now within 5 seconds of closing this video to help yourself take rest and get into that pattern.